Greetings and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. I'm going to do a second piece of gameplay here for the game Broken Logic, the expansion for the Long Road, the second expansion that is. And this is scenario 2 because I wanted to kind of show a little bit of the some of the fantastical, I guess, or fantasy style horror elements, and just go more of a mechanical sci-fi element instead, and that is the so-called battle walkers. Now there are 3 of them in the game. We have the Timber Hawk here, right? And these counters are large, as you can see. They're larger than the regular platoon here, and you can see the British forces deployed here on the map, as well as an American combat team up here. We have the Timber Hawk and the Punisher and the Devastator, and each of them has their own card, which might be an easier way to see what they are. And you can see kind of the descriptions of them, as well as their armament and armor and so on and so forth, right? And they do have advanced targeting. They have various amounts of movement, various amounts of armor. Like this is the most lightly armored one, but it's got really good firepower. This one is the most armored and has the kind of the least firepower. And then the Devastator is kind of the mid-range with armor and good firepower. So those are your 3. They have a platoon of each of those, the Soviets. Now, instead of using the same deck that came with Broken Logic, this scenario uses the base deck because we're facing essentially conventional Soviet forces, with the exception of those 3 battle walkers. So kind of mechs added to this. Mechs against the British Army here with some American help. The American team does have an Abrams. There are 3 Challengers with the British, as well as a couple of Milan teams and some scimitars and so on and so forth. Lots of the smaller infantry fighting vehicle type things, Trojans and scimitars and scorpions. They do have heroes as well. Each of the 3 factions, if you will, have a hero with them. We have Lieutenant Bohm for the British, who we saw in gameplay part 1. We have Hood from the Americans, who we saw in the base game that I've done several videos for. And the same is true for the Soviets, who have Vorishnov, who is also someone we saw in the base game, which I did a while back. So what we're going to do here is, here's the setup. This is the scenario number 2, Battle Walkers, which is right here. And you can see it's a 2-mapper. And I'll just put the description here. If you want to pause, you can read it. But you've got the 2 maps, map B, which is the one we used in gameplay part 1. That's from the base game. And then map E, which is the one that was added here for Broken Logic. So E is on the left, this side where the British are set up. This is B, with the big old Gross Metzendorf there in the middle. Basically, the victory conditions for this one is still tied mostly to, or largely to, killing other units, but both sides are kind of driving, and there's also a territorial component to the victory conditions, where if the Soviets can take some of the hexes on this map and the British can take some of them, alternatively the British have territorial objectives on this map. So we're gonna kind of come together and have a big old slugfest here with some mechs on the Soviet side, and no shortage of tanks and such for them as well. So a lot of armor, a lot of steel is going to get thrown around, and we'll see how things develop. So Soviets start off map, so they'll be coming in from this map edge right here. They'll be coming in, and then we'll get these guys involved as well. Now, one thing I'm going to do here approach-wise to this one is I will probably not show so much of the movement phase. That'll allow me to show more of the fire phase. And I'll take a lot of the discussion of, oh, I'm thinking I'll do this or that or the other thing from both sides, to just kind of boil it down to the essence of the gameplay, the combat, and so on. So with that being said, we're going to get underway. I'm going to start to do movement for the Soviets right now. Well, actually, I should not say that because, as we know from our sequence of play, we have turn start and we have to determine the initiative, which I believe is, if I remember correctly, let's see. Regiment X has the initiative on turn 1. So we don't have to roll for it. And here in our turn record track, I'm going to put the Soviets there. And I'll put their little initiative marker in the box there for initiative. Now you can put your aid and focus markers in here as well. And all sides, I believe, have them. So maybe it doesn't really say. It does say that the Team Hood uses American aid and focus markers, and the King's Foot, which is our British force, uses British aid and focus markers, but it does not say that for the Soviets. Yeah, and we have some artillery strikes and stuff that we can use as well. The King's Foot player also has the ability to expend 3 action cards to call an airstrike. Speaking of action cards, we should do that as well. So the action cards, the Stalnie Vojny, the Regiment X, that is their conventional arm, you might say. They get 2 cards, so I'll draw 2 for the Soviets, and the King's Foot gets 4 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they will receive 1 card per turn on starting turn 2. Both sides will receive 1 card. The Soviets will get an extra card when they capture 3 different hexes over here: ER2, EQ5, and EI10. So that's just, I mean, they have letters here, right? This is Q11. So EQ5 is this town here, Ungeheure Stadt. And ER2 is up here, El Dorf. And the other one is EI10, which is, I think, here it is right here. It's kind of on a ridge. So every time they capture one of these, they get an extra action card. Conversely, the British have the same kind of thing. If they capture BD3, right? So D is here, 3 would be up here, and Klein Schwarzwaldhof. Then BJ6 is here in the middle of Grossmetzendorf, and BE10 is, where's E? Here's E. So that's this foresty road hex right there. All right, so let's get this thing on the road here. Last thing before we actually do start, because I didn't mention it yet, the Soviets set up, they get 7 Black Eagles here. You can see, kind of an advanced tank. 4 Ural trucks, 3 BTR-70s, and 1 BMP-2. 6 infantry, 1 mortar, and 1 Spetsnaz. And of course, Voronezh and the 3 battle walkers. Okay, there was no fire phase, so because nobody was, this half of the combat sides were not on the map. So I did all the movement. So we have our battle walkers, right? Punisher here. Actually, I think he's back 1, now that I think about it. Because his movement's only a 3, and this guy can actually be here. Oops. They're so big that they stick in the tweezers here, and these are the big tweezers. So we have the Ural trucks with a platoon of infantry each, here, 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 and here. This one has the aid marker. The Soviets do get it when it's the Stalnie Vojny. They're now Black Eagles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. We have our BTR-70s, 1, 2, 3 here. The BMP-2 has Voronezh, who is our leader. He has a luck counter. And the focus is with this BTR-70. Now these 2 have infantry platoons with them. This one has the Spetsnaz, and it also has the focus marker. All right, now we're ready to move on, okay, to the British movement phase. And again, in this game, fire phase, you alternate activations by unit. Movement phase, each side moves their entire contingent. So I'm going to move the British now, and we'll show where they are. And I expect there'll be some combat in and around this area on turn 2. All right, our NATO forces have moved up. The Americans are up here around the town. The Brits have started to move forward. We've got a southern contingent here of our scimitars. Now the scimitars are able to call in the DP-ICM, the dual purpose improved conventional munitions, which are the only artillery type that can actually reduce and or destroy armored fighting vehicles. And they can only use that for the first 2 British artillery strikes. They don't currently have a card that will give them an artillery strike, but they may. Now, I also did not put movement markers on anybody because nothing is happening and we know everybody's going to move, so I just dispensed with that for this turn. Make it a little easier for you guys to see where everything is. We have our 2 M113s up here. This one has Hood. They both have infantry platoons. And our Abrams is here with the aid marker. The focus marker, I think, is with Hood. But it might be actually, yeah, no, it's here. It's with the other squad. The way I set this up, I figured Hood by himself provides a bonus to his stack, so everybody has a little bit of a helper there. We've got, so the scimitars are our recon that's going to give us the extra arty punch from here. Got a Milan team here. Their movement factor is only a 1. They're not on a carrier, which is a poor job by me in setting it up because, well, actually, no. According to the setup, they were not. They were with the scimitars, so they did not have the capability of being carried. Because as you can see, the movement factor on a scimitar here. What's up? You can see there that it has a 6, but it's not circled. So that means they cannot carry. They're not a transport. But we have a Trojan back here that actually has capability, but they were set up in 2 different areas. And because of the forest, being deep forest especially, because in this, anyone with any forest hex with 2 adjacent forest hexes is automatically deep forest. So they're in deep forest. This is all deep forest. This is all deep forest, basically. Basically everything on the map, almost everything. This area here isn't, except for, actually, no, none of these. This one is, but the other 2 are not. Obviously, that isn't either. So we moved everything up. Milan is here. We got a striker here with, it's with the recon unit, of course. I forgot about that, which is their spotter, basically. They have the anti-tank guided missile capability. And we have Trojan here. Here, which has Sergeant Salt with it. There's one here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and they're all carrying infantry. We have one empty one back here, which if I can, I will bring up to pick up the Milan, give it a little bit more mobility. Then we also have our challengers, of course. There's one here, and then one there with Lieutenant Bomb. So that is our situation here as we reach the assault phase, which will not happen, of course. And then we have the housekeeping phase where we would remove our markers, but I didn't use any. And so then we will move on to turn number 2. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is draw some action cards for each. Both get 1. We'll draw the Soviet first. They get artillery barrage. They already have an artillery barrage. So, of course, they use the Soviet side of the card, the bottom half. So they have 2 artillery barrages and a For the Motherland, which raises the morale of all Warsaw Pact units by 1 for the current turn. Both of those are useful. Now, the NATO side will have 5 cards here in a moment. They get an op fire, so any undisrupted unit may conduct op fire, marker status unchanged. That happens, of course, in the movement phase. The other ones they have are Lucky Day, so they can re-roll up to 4 defensive dice. That can become useful, we hope. You still run the risk of them being bad. Counterfire, target enemy unit may fire on its attacker, or the eligible unit, sorry, EU. You shift the fire results table, column 1 left, resolve combat simultaneously. So when you're getting fired at, you can fire back. That's also a good one. Most of these, in fact, all of them pretty much are useful. Some of them situationally are not. Manpad, also a good one. I don't know that they get any airstrikes, but they might. They draw an airstrike card, they can get an airstrike. So if they do, we have the ability to have a manpad attack on them. And then we have ECM, which we can place an ECM marker on the hex or in the initiative box with the Soviet focus marker and negate its effect. Now, the focus marker for the Soviets is currently on the map, and it is with the Spetsnaz here. So they're still out of range of really being able to do anything to us, so we'll hold off on using that particular card at the moment. And of course, we can also use 3 to do an artillery strike, which is likely going to be what we'll probably do first card-wise. So, but first we need to determine initiative. Neither side will use its focus marker. They both have them on map with units, and I'm going to keep it that way. And we're just going to roll 2 dice. We have a white one here, which has the British roundel on it, and we have a Soviet star there. Those are on the zeros. And we get a 6-1 in favor of the Soviets, so they actually win initiative. And we'll get to choose whether or not they want to go first, with the fire phase coming up first and them having artillery barrages. They can use, now you can use your artillery barrages in the movement phase as well. But we're going to, let's see. We don't really have good targeting on anybody, I think. Let me look. We have, let's look at the ranges here. Well, I would say some of these tanks could maybe fire the Black Eagles, and they can in theory, but you've got this ridge blocking line of sight. Their range at long range is 16. So, I mean, if we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, they're in range of these Black Eagles. But like I said, they don't have line of sight. The city and the bridge is blocking line of sight from down here. The city blocks line of sight for here. We got forest here. So everybody's line of sight on the Soviet side is blocked. And conversely, you know, you would also realize that the line of sight for all the NATO units to the Soviet units is also blocked. So nobody has line of sight. So we can't do any fire, basically, on either side. We don't have visibility. You have to have a spotter unit if you use artillery. You have to have line of sight if you are a combat unit firing your weapons. So everybody is unable to fire at the moment. And so we're going to move again to our movement phase. So I am going to repeat what I just did, and we're going to move everybody. And if somebody comes into a situation where they're open for opportunity fire, I will pause my movement and we'll resolve opportunity fire on camera and then resume. Okay, so the first unit I moved here is this Spetsnaz unit, and it's in a BTR-70. Okay, now the range, I stopped them here because I just wanted to talk about possible fire, right? Our M113 is here, right? The distance, though, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're in a city. That's going to be a 3-column shift to the left. Now, green, the longest range they have is 6. Now, that one has a yellow box around its green fire power here, if you can see the yellow box, and you may wonder what that means, because the BTR has it as well. And that has nothing to do with range. It just means they can use their HE firepower as armor piercing, essentially, against low armored vehicles, of which like this one and that both kind of are. So, but the range is too great. And the tank, which is up here, does not have line of sight. What does have line of sight would be this guy, right? If you stretch that out, the water's not going to block line of sight. He would have to use his anti-tank guided missile ability. Now, he does have his Striker Recon spotter with him. And they have line of sight. This is open terrain all the way to there. So they could, in fact, fire at them. And that's what I was going to do, is I was going to have them fire at them. So this is a calculated risk on the part of the Spetsnaz here, because their goal is to get into these woods. Now, at least initially, because then they can try and, you know, do something in this area. Because they also have objectives over here. This is one of their objectives. So both sides need to push forward to get to their objectives on their respective sides of the map. So I'm playing it aggressively on both sides, and both sides will take some chances here. Okay, their firepower is a 14. There's a missile icon above the firepower there. You see the blue box with the 14 in it. There's a missile icon above that. That means that there is the possibility, as I knock those that Trojan out of the way, that these guys can run out of ammunition. They do that if they roll a 6, 7, or 8 naturally on the die roll for their attack. Now, our range, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is 8. Okay, a blue range, 8 is within normal range. Short range is up to 6, 7 to 12 is normal, and then above 12 out to 24 is long range. So they have a long reach, right? This is modern, semi-modern warfare, right? I mean, it was 40 years ago that this is set in, but yeah, the weapon ranges were much greater than they were in, say, World War II, right? So boom, they're going to fire. Now, there's a question, right? With line of sight for anti-tank guided missiles, because they're wire guided, if they're wire guided, which is the case here, they're not allowed to attack across a water hex side. So I traced the line and it doesn't nip this hex side. So barely doesn't nip it, but so they can get into there and take a shot. Now they are going to take 3 column shifts to the left as well. And this is opportunity fire. And we do have our op fire card. So we're going to spend this to do opportunity fire. Now I have to spend the card because I did not put anybody in, nobody's in Overwatch, which you can't do unless you go first, basically. Well, in the fire phase, we could have done it. I've skipped the fire phase in both, and they could have put themselves in Overwatch. I just elected not to do it to kind of speed things along. So ideally, you put your units who might have an opportunity fire opportunity in Overwatch, and that means they can't move as far or whatever, but they would be able to fire. So in this case, we don't have that. We are going to op fire. I'm going to discard that card, and we're going to op fire. Now our range, as I mentioned, is normal, so we don't have a column shift for that. This is a striker team. I need to check if there are any special abilities for them, because they did not have striker teams in the base game. Basically, the striker team doesn't really have an effect on this fire. It's just a direct fire from the striker itself. So we're going to hit that. It's going to be 14 with 3 column shifts to the left. So 14 would be the 12 column. Here on our FRT rather, 12. We go 1, 2, 3. It's in the 6th column. We want to avoid this blue area here, because this is the out of ammunition area of the map. So we're going to roll here and see what we get. I'll put this out so you guys can see it. We get a 0. That is the best roll you could hope for. That's the red one here, which indicates a critical hit for artillery and mortar, rubble, smoking, wreck, right? So that's six hits, right? They do have the focus marker. So let's roll our 6, and we'll talk about what the focus marker gives them here in a moment. All right, I'm going to roll 6 dice here. And the morale is a 3. So that's 1 save, and that's all they got. So they took 5 hits, which would destroy them. But we have the focus marker, and it allows them to, actually in this case, only 1. 4 hits would still destroy them. So I think we don't even need to bother rolling. Even 3 hits would destroy them. So they actually have been eliminated. And so the focus marker will come off the map for now, and we can reapply it at the end of the housekeeping phase, is the aid and focus phase, where we would put that back on. So we've lost our BTR 70, and it has zero armor, so there was no effect on the die roll there. Okay, so that's been destroyed. The Spetsnaz platoon has been wiped out, and the focus marker is off map currently for the Soviets. That will return soon. Okay, so I'm going to go back to moving. I need to mark that was fired, and we will move on. And I'll be back here in a second with the further results of movement. Okay, we have an artillery attack to do here. So we have infantry here. They're on a Ural truck. We drove them up onto this hill, right, and dismounted them. So you can spend half your movement allowance, which in the case of the truck is 8. So we moved 4 movement points to get them up here into this forest on the hill, and then we unloaded our infantry. Now our infantry, and just to be on the safe side, we could do this because these guys both moved already, and so did they. But they can actually spot for the artillery. We do have 2 artillery barrage cards, as I mentioned, 8 firepower attack. So we're going to do that. We're going to spend this card, and we are going to fire artillery at well, at this M113 there, which has hood, rather than the Abrams, because it's not DPICM, so they could disrupt the Abrams, but not. Well, that might be good enough actually. If they let's just let's take on the 113. Now that's also well, actually this is the more dangerous unit. We're going to fire at the Abrams, so it's an 8 firepower attack. Now you do have this critical thing here if we do roll a 0, right? So it's an 8 firepower attack against an armored fighting vehicle. So our target is here. We have to roll to see if we're on target. So 0 through 5 is good, and it's a 6, so they've missed. So they're going to be off target. Now you also have to designate a backup hex, which in this case would have been that one. So that, I believe, is where it goes when it goes awry. Actually, no, that is wrong. That was probably from a different game. I have so many rules in my head. I'm going to roll a d6 to determine our direction that it drifts. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to land here. Okay. So that's where it's going to land. So since we missed, I'm going to put a blast marker in there for now to indicate that that has been hit. We're going to mark this unit as moved as well. And I'm going to continue my movement, and then I'll come back and show you where everything ends up. Okay, we got another artillery attack to resolve. Now remember I said the scimitars can spot. You have to play 3 cards to use this, but the first 2 British artillery strikes are DC IPM. So they're going to use, this guy can see them. Now 2 other Black Eagles moved into these 2 spots, but the spotting, although they can see them, they're in a city, they're in rolling terrain, so that's degrading. So we're gonna hit this guy because he's in open terrain on a road, and they have clear line of sight to him. So they're spotting. It's a recon, which gives you a -1 DRM on the accuracy roll. Now the only target we're hitting is this one. We don't need to worry about any secondary hexes around it. Got to hope we roll a 0 to 6 because of this -1, and we do have to spend 3 cards. Now of the cards I'm going to use, we'll use our ECM, our counterfire, and our man pad. Now I'd like to keep some of these, but Lucky Day with the 4 defensive dice, that's a good one to keep. So we're going to expend those 3, leaving the NATO side with just 1 card. And we're going to do an artillery attack. The artillery attacks are 8 firepower, I believe. Let me see if I can find one in here for NATO. But I think they're both, yeah, it's 8. They're both 8 on each side. So 8 firepower, DC or DPICM, so it's the improved conventional munition. So it can kill that tank if it does enough damage. Okay, it's a 3. That's a hit. All right, so that is 8 firepower. There are no column adjustments. We're going to roll. I don't know why I moved that out of the way. We're going to roll again, and we got a 3 again. And a 3 in the 8 column is 5 hits. So they have 5 hits to resolve here. I don't think armor matters. Let me confirm this. Yeah, actually I did screw that up. So they have 8 armor and a +1. So we rolled a 3, so we would have been in the 0 column, and it becomes a 4, which, guess what, is no effect. No effect. All right. I'm still going to put a blast marker here. And they are moved now. And so we'll go back to doing movement. Here's the situation after the completion of the Warsaw Pact or Soviet movement. I pulled the movement markers off so you could see the units. We've got walkers here, here, and one in the center of the city. So they're starting to move up, and that's when things are going to get interesting, right? Now their movement range is, they're slow. They're big, cumbersome, lumbering things, I guess. So they're not moving very quickly. We've got some tanks, some armor here coming down this road. These two. These guys were down here. They're coming up so they can get across the river. And I may push them in this direction. Well, these here will go in this direction, north of the river, as opposed to these guys, which are going to come down this way. Where the scimitars are, of course, the scimitars are thinly armored, so things could get a little shaky here in the not too distant future. Other things are up here. We have, as I mentioned earlier, we unloaded that infantry. We've got a mortar here. I'm going to try to get it to this spot and then unload it so it can fire to provide support with good line of sight on the hill. And now we're going to move over and do the British. Okay, we've completed our movement. One interesting thing is this scimitar, rather, got to one of the objective hexes. So we drew an extra card. That card is Eager, which allows us to subtract 1 from a rally attempt die roll. And we can play it after the die has been rolled. Now, the bad side, of course, is that they're sitting here and there's a black eagle right here. So if the Soviets get initiative, this guy might be toast, but we'll have to hope that we get initiative and can maybe set ourselves up in a better spot. I did put movement markers on these two, which I probably don't need to do. But you can see the other scimitar is up here, kind of screened from this area, because we want our kind of follow-on forces here to do something to them. I'll probably move this Milan team out here. Its ride is here, so I can get them together, and I would be able to load it and move it around a little bit easier. Then we have our northern contingent up here, hinged on the Americans at the top. We did move our Abrams into Klein-Schwarzwaldhof, which is, I think, one of the, I got to check that. I think that's one of the objective hexes as well. And if it is, then they get another card, but I'll confirm that in a moment. And they also are now in a spot where they get a little bit of a column shift for defensive purposes. They also have the aid marker. And they're close range to the eagle, which that kind of is a wash on the range situation, since they both have red range. They're both at short range within 2 hexes of each other. Our infantry, I moved the one that was, where was he? Is he here? In which case they need to be 1 further back. I think they're actually here, because they can only move 2 and then unload from the M113. So they're there. You can see Bomb is here with 2 challengers. So we've got some nice armor coming in here, because I expect all of the walkers to pretty much stay probably north of the river, only because they can walk through the deep woods on a road, but they can't do deep woods off-road. So they would be kind of hemmed in if they went in here. Of course, I don't have a lot of anti-tank stuff down in this area, except for the Milan team and 1 single challenger, plus the scimitars. But that's it. So that's the end of the movement phase. We don't have any assaults. We get to the housekeeping and end phase. The Soviets would be, I think they're able to put their focus marker out again. I might hold on to it and put it in the initiative thing so they can get initiative. That would allow them to potentially have this black eagle take out this scimitar, because it's a 2 with a -1. That's not great. Their armor's an 8 with a +1. So if they fire at them, they're already starting at a -2, the -2 column, which unless you roll a 1, they'd have to roll a 0, because the +1 would make it a 1, and then they would get 1 hit. Otherwise, they're pretty much shut out. They can't get a 0. So Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. All right, so enough yip yap here. I don't have any markers to remove, so we're just going to move right into the next turn start, which means new cards for both sides. Each gets one. The Soviets get a Soviet horde. Oh, look at that. That's a good card for them. All right, so they get that. And NATO gets an op fire. All right, so I got to say, in terms of the cards drawn, I feel like the Soviets have had a bit of an advantage so far. With 2 artillery barrage cards, of which they still have 1. They have the For the Motherland, raising the morale for the current turn. And then they have Soviet Horde now, where they get an extra infantry unit. Reduced, but still, the more the merrier. We don't have any rallying to do, but now we get to the fire phase. And this is going to be an interesting one. So, let's determine. Oh wait, we got to determine initiative. I didn't do that. Come on, man. Let's put this up here. We'll do our regular old dice off here. And the Soviets win again. So this is going to be a bad day for the Brits, the Scimitar at the very least, because we are in the fire phase, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have him fire at that. So the road is in deep forest, so per other terrain in text. So the deep forest will help them because they are adjacent to 3 other hexes. So both sides are in deep forest, right? So deep forest gives a 2-column shift to the left. So that helps. That takes that 14 down to an 8 because it's in the 12 column, so it drops to 10 and then 8. Still a lot of hits coming their way. They do have the aid marker, which could come in handy in this case. So put this out. We're going to roll to see what we get here. They are 14 firepower here, and they are a 2. So that actually takes that 8 down to a 6. So they're in the 6 column, and they get a -1 on the die roll. 7 minus 1 is 6, and a 6 in the 6th column is a 2. So they got 2 hits. Okay, so we'll roll to see what happens here. Just roll 2 dice here. And we negated a hit. Okay. Now we can use the aid. This aid is actually a 2 now because it would have gone up after last turn. So that would allow them to re-roll both, but they don't need to re-roll both. They only need to re-roll 1. So we've negated 1 hit. And we can re-roll this next one here. So let's re-roll this guy, and went off the table. 3. So they actually negate both hits, but the aid marker goes away. So that's good. That is very good, in fact. And that is, I'm going to keep this close by. So that's 1 for them. Now we go to the British. The British can fire, or the NATO side, I should say, because we're going to fire the Abrams at this Black Eagle. He is in, I think this comes off, because that was last turn, as does this one. So he's in open terrain. He's not going to get a shift. He gets a +1, and he's got an 8 armor. So 14, and they get a -1, so that negates. They also have, well, their 8 is now a 2 as well. Okay. And the focus for the Soviets is still in the initiative box for now. We can relocate it after this, at the end of this turn. So 14 minus 8 is a 6. We don't have a DRM because they negate each other. There's no terrain DRM, so we're in the 6th column. And we are going to roll. And it's a 3. We like 3s today. That is 4 hits. So the Russians will roll here. And that was a 1. So they negate 2 hits. So they still take 2. So that will disrupt and reduce this platoon. So disrupt this guy. Mark this guy fired. And it's back to the Soviets for their next fire attack. Now let's see. We can fire this guy at our Abrams, right? Because it's straight down the line here. Oh, we do have rolling, so they would not be able to do that because they're not on a hill. This is the grading line of sight. This is rolling terrain. And rolling terrain is this right here. And it says yes 1, and note 1 says rolling terrain rubble when sighted from ground level, second hex blocks line of sight. So you've got either way, there's one here and then one there. So that's line of sight that is blocked. Now we do have this guy who has a line straight up here to the infantry. He can't attack this one because of the tree. And, well, let's see. Whoops. I guess he can fire at the, he'll fire at the Abrams. Now he's in a town, so that's going to help him. So town gives you, let's see, where is it? Town gives you, he's armor, so that's 1. So he gets 1 column shift for being in the town. The range is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. With red firepower, that's normal range. So we're looking at a shift of 1 to the left. Their armor is 8 plus 1, so he's going to get a plus 1 on the roll. So 14 minus 8 is 6. We shift 1, that's the 4 column, and he gets a plus 1 on the die roll. And it's a 7, which is a big number, and in the 4 column, a 7 would be 1 hit, but because of the plus 1, it becomes an 8, and that is a no effect. So no effect. They are fired. Now the NATO gets to go again. And we're going to have our scimitar fire at this guy, I guess. We'll take a crack at it. His armor is still really good. But if we can hit him once, we can knock him out. So the range is 1, 2, 3, 4. The firepower is an orange 7. 4 is normal range. He does not get any column shifts. He does, however, get a plus 1 on the die roll. So in the 4 column, to knock him out, we would need at least 1 hit. So anything under an unadjusted 6 or under will be at least 1 hit. So let's see if we can score that and then hope he doesn't save it. It's a 2. 2 in the 4 column is 3 hits. So he's going to roll 3 dice. And he saves none of them. And that will knock him out. Put fired marker here. He is now knocked out. We're going to put a wreck there. Okay. And, okay, so they have lost 3 units now. The Spetsnaz, a BTR-70, and a Black Eagle. NATO is yet to lose anybody. So back to the Soviets for firing. Let's do a half move and an overwatch for this Black Eagle here. We can move 1, 2, 3, and we'll put him in overwatch. Where are my overwatch counters? Where the heck did I put them? Oh, there it is, right there. So he's in overwatch. So during the movement phase, he can fire, op fire, if someone in his LOS moves, which seems likely. Okay, now we go back to NATO. And, well, we have a challenger here who can fire at that guy. Of course, he's in a city, which is a 3 column shift. It's got a 16 firepower, though. The challenger is a badass tank. So 8 plus 1, so that's an 8. And he'll get 3 column shifts. That's in the 2 column. Yeah, that's not great. What we're going to do instead is I'm going to move this whole stack with bomb. I'm going to move 2 hexes, 1, 2, and put us in Overwatch as well. Now they have a shot at. Of course, they're also now exposed, which means this Black Eagle can take a shot at them. So why not? And yeah, I played my card that would let them fire right back, so that's kind of a bummer. But we will fire back, and yeah, why not? Let's fire back. Okay, so we can't fire back. What am I talking about? 14, their armor is a 10 and a -1. So like I said, Challenger is a badass tank. So that's a 4 column with a -1. So they need to roll pretty low to actually really do anything here. And bomb is there as well. They rolled a 2. That's a good roll. In the 4 column, that's a 3. Now, I think bomb's only, yeah, he's got more of the steady aim. He affects their fire, not anything defensively. We do not have a card that we can use except Lucky Day. I will play that if we need to. So they got 3 hits. So we're going to roll 3 dice. We got a 0 and a 2, which would remove all but 1, but it would result in disruption for one of the tanks, because you can only fire at one of them. We would assume he'd fire at bomb's tank, right? So we'll put I guess we'll take it. I don't know that I want to use my Lucky Day on 1 hit. It's only a disruption. Hopefully we can rally him, and that will be that. So we still have 1 challenger who can fire on Overwatch. Okay, now we put a fired marker on that guy. And I might stop now, firing wise. And these guys don't yet have like this Timberhawk. Once we get through this next movement phase, he's going to be in range to start firing his weapons, and they can fire all their weapons in one go at different targets as long as they're within 2 hexes of each other. So I guess that would be kind of like what its facing is. And I do want to show some of that combat before we wrap this up, and the video is already getting long. So let's move on to the movement phase. I did confirm that we draw another card here for taking that town. So they get a move out card, which allows you to move 2 units instead of firing. So that'll be a good one to use during the fire phase if you want to move. Okay, so I moved my infantry up here now, and the M113, but they're dismounted, so they just both moved up here. Now this guy is going to Overwatch fire on them, or op fire. So here, take that off. Now he can fire his AP to take out the M113, or he could fire his HE to take out the infantry. He can only attack 1, and he can't attack the Abrams because the Abrams did not move. So let's have him take out the infantry. That's probably a slightly more dangerous unit, maybe. More capable, perhaps, would be a better way to put it. So he's going to fire at them. His HE is a 10, okay? And that is, well, let's see, HE 10. Yeah, they don't get any adjustments. Well, they do for being in the town, which is a 2 column shift, I think, for them because they're foot. Yes. So that 10 becomes a 6. 10 becomes a 6, so we're going to roll here. It's a 5, and a 5 in the 6 column is 3 hits. So we'll do 3 hits. And we got a 0, a 9, and an 8. So we had 2 hits there. which would, of course, disrupt and reduce. I'm going to play my Lucky Day card to re-roll these 2 dice. And we got a 4 and a 0, so we negate all the hits, so that worked out. That worked out. He's now marked fired. And now I can assault him with this infantry, who has an assault rating of 8, where the Black Eagle only is a 4. And similarly, down here, I moved my Scimitar up adjacent to the Black Eagle here for the same reason. He's going to assault him, although that's a 4-4, so it's an even thing. I moved my Milan here as well, and I'm going to finish moving up everybody else right now. Okay, we finished all the movement for NATO, and this is their situation now. The Soviets have moved a little bit more slowly than the NATO units have. They've come a decent distance, where I guess the Soviets have come about a similar distance, aside from the battle walkers, who are kind of slow, like I said. So now we're going to flip it and do the movement phase for these guys. They have a few fired units that won't be able to move, but they're going to be able to move some of their... This Timberhawk is likely going to be able to start getting into the action here pretty soon. And so we're going to see that probably right now. And actually, I'm just going to do it right on camera. He's here. 1, 2. Okay, now as soon as he moves again, either here or here, let's just say he goes... it really doesn't matter, to be honest, but he's going to go, well, he'll go here on the road. Okay. Overwatch fire right here from the one challenger who is not hurt. Now, the difference here is going to be quite simple. If we hit him, then he has to stop. If we don't hit him, he can continue to move. But the way damage works for these guys is different. So we're gonna talk about that here in a moment. So they're going to fire here, and we are going to figure this out. So they are armor-wise a 4 + 1, so not particularly thick-skinned. Challenger, of course, firepower is 16, range is 1, 2, 3, 4. That is short range. So they're going to get a 1 column shift to the right, which is going to make that a 20 column. This is going to be interesting for sure. They do get a +1 on the roll as well. So let's move this back in. Let's roll. It's a 5. A 5 in that particular column is X/8. Now, I don't think you can eliminate it on one roll. I'll have to check, but I don't think that these particular units can be eliminated in that way because they have special damage. So the rules actually don't say it doesn't, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to draw this out in a way that it looks like they don't. So they have these hit counters for body hits, gun hits, leg hits, and cockpit hits, right? So we take all of these and we take 3 disrupted markers, right? And we put them all in a cup, and then we're going to roll 8 dice, which is going to involve, no, we do have 8. I'm going to roll every single die that comes with the game. And I'm going to put all these in this cup, and I will draw out however many hits we get. So we're going to roll 8 dice. Morale for them is a 4 because they are an elite unit. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits left. Okay, that's a lot of hits. So we're going to draw 6 markers out of the cup here. So first one, well, I drew first 2. We got a body hit and a disrupted. It's moved on the other side. So that's 1 hit and a disrupt. The disrupted, I think that does count, but it doesn't actually damage the... They get 4 damage total. So the next one out is another disrupted. And we've got the next one is a cockpit hit, which also is a disruption. And there are 2 left. So if neither one of these is a disruption, and they're not, this is going to destroy it anyway. They took 2 gun hits as well. So once they take 4 hits, they are destroyed. So he did get destroyed on a fairly lucky roll there. Wait, no, they don't. I realized I just messed this up. So the Challenger 16 firepower, they get one. Yeah, they only took 5 hits, not 8, because I was in the wrong column. I forgot to take the 4 armor off. So the 4 armor, 16 minus 4 is 12. Short range gives us a 1 shift to the right, which will put it in the 12 column. And the 12 column on a 5 is 6 hits. So we did draw six chits, and it's the same result because we did get 4 hits and the 2 disrupted. So this one would actually be eliminated, and you can see they got a giant wreck on the back. So that is how those die. Now, in terms of movement, let's continue moving. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess. We'll put him on top for now. I know there's units under there, you can tell. This guy would go 1, 2, 3 to move up. And these guys are going to move here and unload. And then these guys will simply unload. Mortar is going to unload as well. Vorishnov is not going to unload. He's going to go 1, 2. I have to put a fired marker on there. That's 2, 3. Well, maybe we'll go 3, 4. Move him there. And the Black Eagles will go 1, 2. And then he's going to go 1, 2, 3. And stop, because he can't go there. It's a limit of 2 for the stacking limit. This now changes the dynamics of the planned assault by the Scimitar, because they're now they could do their own assault on. Actually, only one of them could. So this Black Eagle can assault him now, because the other one's fired, so he can't. But they can, if they assault now, it's 4 to 8, and that's not great. That's 1 to 2 odds. Yeah, they'd have to roll really low for that to be a good idea. So that's probably not going to happen. 1 to 1, we may take that shot. All right. So that's going to finish movement, and we're going to go right to our assault phase. And we will do the assault. This Black Eagle is going to assault here. They're going to elect not to assault. The British actually have initiative. So actually, because of that, do they? They went first in the movement phase. No, I think, well, these guys are going to assault. We'll send both of these into assault here, and they're going to assault here. It doesn't really matter what order we do them in. So we're going to do this here. So that's a 1 to 1. And this is pretty easy. It's 1 to 1. Close assault table. You get no TEC modifications. Oh, for same sex assault. Good Lord. Okay. 4 to 4 here. Yeah. So I think you do actually get terrain effects on this, maybe. TEC columns for close assault are based on most favorable. Shit. The leg and armor, if I get the leg shift. So a shift for that would be a shift of, we're in deep forest, and it would be a 1 and be a 1 column shift. So that makes it a 1 to 2. I'm not sure that they would do it, but let's play it out anyway. I mean, I don't think they would do it. So I'm going to roll. It's a 2, so that was actually kind of worth it then. A 2 is, well, it's a 4 to 3. It's 4 to 3. So 4 attacker losses, 3 defender losses. So we'll let the attacker roll first to see if they can negate any. So they roll 4 dice, the Soviets, and they eliminate all 4 hits. Because they're elite, the Black Eagle is also elite. They get, yeah, they're no hits for them. So now the British can roll, same kind of deal, except they're going to roll 3, and they need a 4 or less as well. You got a 0, a 4, and a 2. So guess what? Nothing happened there. no hits. So they're both fired. They're also marked as fired. Not that it matters, but that's how that works. And then up here, these guys are assaulting. Now, they're not in the same hex. I just put that up there as kind of a mnemonic that I was assaulting them. So yeah, they're not reduced. So they're attacking with 10, and the Black Eagle defends with a 4. So that is 10 to 4 is a 2 to 1. They are in cultivated. I don't know that that has an effect. For AFVs, it does not. So we are in the 2 to 1 column. So let's roll and see what we get. It's a 5. I rolled the wrong die. I should have rolled the British die. A 5 in the 2 to 1 is 3 attacker hits, 5 defender hits. So we'll do the attacker first again. That's the British. Here, let's see what we get. They negate 2 of the 3 hits. Okay, so they're going to take 1 hit. And so that'll be a disruption. And now we'll roll the Soviets here. They got 5 hits. Yes, 5. So that's a hit. That's a hit. That's a hit. 3 hits. 3 hits will destroy this unit. So these guys will move in here. And one of them is disrupted. They both get marked fired. And disruption, I think, goes to the leg unit. So we'll make the infantry disrupted. And the M113 is not. Okay. Oh, and this, I think, was with them. So I probably could have re-rolled that 1, but it's fine. We won't. That should be on the 2 side as well, because it hasn't moved. Okay. That is the last assault. So that is the end of the turn, and it's the end of the video. Now, I wanted to talk about how these guys would attack. So here we have, you have guns, okay, that have, this one's got 3 apparently. So you have basically like a tank gun with AP, and then 2 HE. So they could attack 3 targets, 1 with AP and 2 with HE. And all the targets, they don't have to be the same target. They can be, or same hex rather. You can spread them out as long as they're all within 2 hexes of each other. So obviously this is a kind of a tough guy here to deal with. But because this video has gotten so long, I don't want it to drag on too long. I know a lot of people drop out after 4 or 5 minutes anyway. But in this case, hopefully you got an idea of what this looks like in terms of using the walkers as opposed to your, you know, your reborn and, you know, the other stuff that we saw in part 1, which is more paranormal. This is more sci-fi, battle walkers, you know, tanks on legs kind of thing, mechs, you know, which is a very popular genre of gaming. You know, mech warfare. So it was cool that Mark included that in the game. But we are done for now. I hope you got, between these 2 gameplay videos, I hope you got a pretty good idea of what the game has to offer. I hope I didn't make too many mistakes. There's a lot less extra rules with this particular scenario than with the other one, with the paranormal abilities that come with the legends and stuff. This one doesn't have any legends, just heroes who have more, let's say, mundane abilities than the paranormal ones do. And we didn't even really get to see any of that unfortunately. But if I did an entire game, an entire scenario playthrough, it would probably take 3 parts, and it'd be long, and you guys would lose interest most likely. So that is it for this one. Shout out to my channel members. Thank you guys for your support. For everyone else, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them in the comment section. I always do my best to reply. As long as you're not trolling me, you'll get a pleasant reply, most likely. But other than that, if you would consider liking, sharing, hyping, or maybe even becoming a subscriber, that would all be great. To my subscribers, I appreciate your support. Thank you. And to everyone else, thanks again for watching. Hopefully you'll come back and check something else out down the road. But for now, we are done. I am Joe. This is the Hexed Encounter channel. And until next time, as always, happy gaming.